In today's episode, I'll be exploring Ovid's Metamorphoses, with a particular focus on his portrayal of trauma as a pivotal rupture in the human psyche. Ovid's narrative does more than merely recount mythical tales. It delves into the complex interplay between suffering and transformation. He presents trauma not just as a wound but as a fissure, a crack in the very foundation of the self, that has the potential to initiate profound metamorphoses. This rupture, though born of pain, acts as a catalyst that transcends the ordinary boundaries of human experience, opening a gateway to the divine. In Ovid's vision, it is through these fractures in our being that we are afforded glimpses of the divine, allowing mortals to brush against the sacred and the eternal. The transformation that follows is not merely a change in form, but an alchemical process that reshapes the soul, suggesting that it is in our moments of greatest vulnerability that we are closest to the gods. As we delve into Metamorphoses, we will consider how Ovid's depiction of these transformations speak to the timeless human condition, where trauma becomes both a source of profound suffering and a doorway to transcendence. Through this lens, we will explore the possibility that in the depths of our pain lies the potential for the most sacred of transformations, the kind that not only changes who we are, but elevates us to a higher plane of existence. Myths are foundational stories that cultures tell about themselves and their origins. They often include narratives that address deeply troubling events or dynamics, including violence and sexual violence. These myths can provide a lens through which societies understand and interpret and sometimes process such transformative and traumatic events. Trauma, an indelible mark on the human psyche, often shifts the trajectory of one's existence, weaving a narrative of pain, suffering, and sometimes an overwhelming sense of loss or hopelessness. Yet in the heart of such darkness lies potent possibility, growth, transformation, and empowerment. Truly processing trauma doesn't merely involve navigating its murky waters, but also harnessing its potent energy. By integrating these experiences into our life, we can transmute this pain into formidable strength. This is not about diminishing the impact or severity of the traumatic event. It is a testament to the human spirit's resilience. It's about reclaiming power over the shadows of the past, ensuring that they no longer anchor us in despair, but instead serve as stepping stones toward our own personal metamorphosis. The challenge, then, isn't just to survive trauma, but to let it shape us, fuel us, and lead us to a more enlightened version of ourselves. Navigating this journey is undoubtedly challenging, yet it remains within the realm of possibility. Insights on how to tread this path are intricately woven into myriads of stories of our world. These stories, reminiscent of Ariadne's guiding thread, not only provide a deep understanding of our own psyche, but also illuminate the way forward. They serve as poignant reminders that we are not alone in our struggles. You are not the first person to traverse this harrowing nightmare. Others have journeyed here before you, enduring similar trials, and they have left clues to guide you through this intricate maze. Consider these stories like the thread that led Theseus out of the labyrinth and away from the monstrous Minotaur. These narratives are beacons, shedding light on our path, reinforcing our resolve, and revealing the shared human experience in all its facets. Transformation is at the heart of this, and few works delve into the complexities and nuances of such transformation as deeply as Ovid's Metamorphoses. It is a Latin narrative poem in 15 books that can be considered one of the most influential works in Western literature. Written in the early 1st century, it is a collection of over 250 myths and tales themed around the concept of transformation or change. The poem spans from the creation of the world to Ovid's contemporary Roman society, linking the stories through the thread of metamorphosis, where gods and mortals often change forms or are transformed as a result of their actions, desires, or interventions by deities. Diving into Metamorphoses holds deeply personal significance for me, rooted in a journey that began a few years ago when I was diagnosed with PTSD. This period of my life was marked with profound confusion and struggle, as I grappled with the unexpected ways my mind and body responded to treatments like EMDR. The experience was disorientating, leaving me unable to fully comprehend or process the intensity of my reactions. In the midst of this turmoil, I turned to literature as a means of solace and understanding. Among the many books I read, Metamorphoses was particularly insightful, standing out in a way that others did not. The stories within it resonated with me on a level I had not anticipated, offering a mirror to the transformation I was undergoing. Through the lens of Metamorphoses, I began to see the intricate ways in which the body and mind responds to trauma, how it adapts, evolves, and sometimes resists. The tale of change and transformation in the text mirrored my own experiences, both physical and emotional, helping me to make sense of the chaotic and often painful shifts happening within me. In recognizing these parallels, I found a deeper understanding of my journey. All of a sudden, I wasn't alone. Others had been here before. One of the poems I will explore is the well-known story of Apollo and Daphne. The story begins with Apollo, the god of music, poetry, and prophecy, who mocks Cupid, the god of love, for his clumsy use of bow and arrow. Angered by Apollo's disdain, Cupid retaliates by shooting 2 arrows, a golden arrow that strikes Apollo, causing him to fall deeply in love with the nymph Daphne, and a leaden arrow that hits Daphne, making her resistant to love. Apollo, consumed by his passion, begins to pursue Daphne relentlessly. Despite his declarations of love and attempts to woo her with his divine status and gifts, Daphne remains steadfast in her desire to remain chaste and free. She flees from Apollo, running through the woods, desperate to escape his advances. The chase intensifies as Apollo, fueled by the power of his love, gains on Daphne. Feeling her strength wane and seeing no escape, Daphne prays to her father, the river god Peneus, for help. She pleads to him to be transformed, to change her form in order to evade Apollo's relentless pursuit. This is how Ovid explains this pursuit. "Help, father," she pleaded. "If rivers have powers over nature, mar the beauty which made me admire too well by changing my form." She had hardly ended her prayer when a heavy numbness came over her body. Her soft white bosom was ringed in a layer of bark. Her hair was transformed into foliage, her arms into branches. The feet that had run so nimbly were sunk into sluggish roots. Her head was confined in a treetop, and all that remained was her beauty. It is at this critical juncture, in a moment of desperation and divine intervention, that the narrative reaches its pivotal transformation. Daphne transforms into a laurel tree. There are several points of interest in this metamorphosis. First, the visceral and painful imagery of Daphne's transformation is striking. Her fluid limbs turning into tree branches, her soft skin becoming bark, and her running feet transforming into tree roots. These changes are not merely physical. They also signify a deeper psychological transformation, a shift in her very being, triggered by a traumatic event. Here, her transformation freezes a moment in time forever and is encapsulated in the form of a laurel tree. It is not accident that Daphne is transformed into a laurel tree, one of the most symbolically loaded trees. The laurel, with its evergreen leaves, symbolizes eternal life and immortality. It has adorned the heads of Roman emperors as a symbol of divine inspiration, muse, and prosperity. Trees are symbols of life, and life often rises out of pain. Daphne's transformation is not merely an escape, but a redefinition of her being. Her terror transforms her from a beautiful nymph, known only for external beauty, into a symbol of divine inspiration itself. Particularly, Yggdrasil comes to mind. In her transformation, like the world tree in Norse mythology, Daphne becomes a conduit between heaven and earth. Yggdrasil stands at the center of the cosmos, its branches reaching into the heavens and its roots delving into the earth, connecting all realms of existence. Similarly, Daphne, through her transformation, transcends her limitations and becomes an eternal symbol that bridges the human excellence and divine. Her metamorphosis echoes a profound interconnectedness embodied by Yggdrasil, illustrating how pain and terror can lead to profound transformation and how life and divinity are deeply intertwined. In this way, Daphne's story becomes one of empowerment and transcendence, where her form as a laurel tree signifies the ultimate triumph of the spirit over the temporal, linking the realm of mortals and gods, just as Yggdrasil unites the cosmic domains. This theme resonates powerfully in the myths of Medusa, the other story I will be focusing on. Ovid describes Medusa as an exceedingly beautiful maiden, with a beauty so captivating that a legion of suitors vied for her hand in marriage. The most dazzling feature was her marvelous hair, a crown of splendor that set her apart. However, the story takes a dark turn when Neptune, the mighty sea god, violated her within the sacred shrine of Minerva, also known as Athena. The goddess, horrified by this desecration, reacted in a way that has puzzled and fascinated minds for centuries. Whether out of anger, pity, or both, Athena transformed Medusa into a gorgon. The once glorious hair became a writhing mass of serpents, and any man who dared gaze upon her thereafter was doomed to be turned to stone. Medusa's tragic existence was ultimately ended by the hero Perseus, who, following Athena's counsel, used her shield as a mirror to safely approach and behead Medusa. From her spilled blood sprang Pegasus, the legendary winged horse. But even in death, Medusa's power endured. Perseus wielded her severed head as a weapon, using it to slay Kraken and rescue Andromeda. Eventually, Medusa's head became the Gorgonian, an emblem of protection adorning Athena's breastplate. In this way, any imagery or statue of Athena is immediately recognized by the head of Medusa. This narrative is laden with rich symbolism, inviting us to delve deeper into Medusa's tragic transformation. Her metamorphosis into a gorgon, a creature whose very gaze can turn anyone to stone, is not merely a curse, but a profound reflection of her internal anguish. Medusa's once beautiful hair, crowning glory, is grotesquely transformed into a writhing mass of venomous snakes, signifying a twisted reversal of her former self. A striking parallel with Daphne's plea to her father and gods of nature to mar the beauty which made her admire too well by changing her form. This transformation can be seen as an embodiment of the intense fear and helplessness she endured at the hands of Neptune. The stone-turning gaze represents a kind of emotional paralysis, a chilling manifestation of the overwhelming dread that now defines her existence. In her new form, Medusa becomes an unwilling mediator of the same terror she once experienced, projecting it outwards and petrifying anyone who dares to meet her eyes. Medusa's condition is not just a punishment, but a perpetual state of entrapment. She is locked in a cycle of fear and anger, unable to escape the horrific experiences that have reshaped her identity. This endless cycle of projection turns her into a vessel of horror, where the fear she carries within is imposed on all who encounter her. Through this lens, Medusa emerges not simply as a monster, but as a tragic figure, a woman reshaped by profound experiences into a symbol of their destructive power. Her gaze doesn't just petrify, it forces the reader to confront the way deep-seated anguish can harden the soul, turning it to stone, and how the pain inflicted upon us, if not healed, be inflicted upon others. This narrative invites us to explore the far-reaching effects of such experiences, not only on the individual, but on all who come in contact with their pain. Her salvation arrives not as a deliverance from suffering, but as a complex and bittersweet liberation through the hero Perseus. Tasked by the gods and guided by the wisdom and protection of Athena, Perseus confronts Medusa. Armed with Athena's shield, a symbol of divine power and clarity, he accomplishes the grim task of beheading the Gorgon. In this act, Medusa's terrifying form is vanquished, but her story doesn't end there. It transcends the tragedy into something far more profound. As Medusa the Gorgon meets her end, a miraculous transformation occurs. Through her severed neck springs Pegasus, the magnificent winged horse. This moment is more than just the birth of a mythical creature. It is a powerful symbol of the connection between the earthly and the celestial, the mortal and the divine. Medusa, who was once bound by earthly horrors, is now reborn through Pegasus as a symbol of freedom, inspiration, and transcendence. In this way, her death is not merely an end, but a passage to a new form of existence that soars above the confines of her cursed life. But Medusa's legacy extends even further. Athena, the very goddess who orchestrated her demise, immortalizes Medusa by placing her image upon her own breastplate, the aegis. Here, Medusa's face, once a source of terror, becomes a symbol of divine protection and power. This act of adornment is deeply symbolic. It transforms Medusa from a figure of horror into a guardian spirit, her visage serving as a reminder of both the destructive power she once wielded and the protection she now offers in service to the gods. Through these transformations, Medusa's story is elevated from a tale of suffering to one of profound meaning. She becomes a bridge between worlds. Pegasus connects the earth to the heavens, while her image on Athena's aegis connects fear to protection, mortality to immortality. Medusa's journey from mortal woman to cursed Gorgon, and then finally to a symbol of divine power and celestial connection, illustrates the potential for even the darkest of fates to be transformed into something transcendent and eternal. Metamorphoses is teeming with stories where transformations spring from the darkest moments: rape, war, and death, all rich with heavy symbolism. These symbols may not always be immediately understood, but that's the beauty of them. They bypass the conscious mind and speak directly to the subconscious. Through the power of storytelling, these symbols work a kind of alchemy, transforming suffering into something almost divine, into rapture. This theme of transformation through pain is one we will be delving into deeply throughout this series, which spans over 300 books. In the next episode, I'll be diving into the Epic of Gilgamesh, and from there, we will journey chronologically through the significant literary works that have shaped Western civilization. Along the way, we will not only explore these foundational texts, but also engage in comparative and exclusive analysis with masterpieces from other culture, offering a rich, interconnected view of the human experience across time and space.